Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about all things automotive. Variable, fixed, doesn't really matter. If it benefits us all or individually, the customer wins. We all make more money, we have happier customers, literally a win-win situation. I have with me this evening Mr. Jeff Liebler with Automotive Product Consultants. This guy is a industry veteran, and we're going to get into an introduction in just a moment. I just want to go over a couple of housekeeping things. Let's see here. Just a reminder that we have coming up on Thursday, November 4th, which is this Thursday coming up, the Dealer Vendor Match Vendor Showcase. It will run from 10 in the morning Eastern until 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So be sure to tune into that. Also, I am at the 50% mark to my 35-pound weight loss goal. Reached that the other day. I will get to the other half. It's a little bit more difficult, but as with anything, if you can measure it, you can affect change. And it really seems easier than I thought it would be. But, you know, no matter how you slice it, no pun intended, 35 pounds is a lot of weight to lose. But if you approach it scientifically, no different than running a dealership, if you run your dealership scientifically, you will come out the winner on the other end. So, Jeff Liebler, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Paul. Very glad to be here with you.
Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about you and how you got into this, and then we'll jump right into it.
Sure. So I was a dealer with my brother in New Jersey with 7 franchises for over 30 years. Finally got out of the retail side of it, and I was recruited to go check out APC and put my dealer hat back on and tell them what I thought of the operation. And I walked through, did a tour, and I came out of the building shaking my head saying, how could I have been in the business for 30 years and not known that this program existed? So when they asked me to help develop a national team to get this message out, because it's been a best kept secret, I said, cut me loose. I'm ready to go.
So you were a dealer in New Jersey.
Yes.
What exit?
Route 22. I guess it's sort of off exit 140, but if you go by the turnpike, exit 13A.
That's an inside joke to anybody that is either related to, has friends in, or has been in New Jersey. When you're in New Jersey, everything is referenced by the exit number, right?
Yeah, it's a bum rap.
But it's funny. I met a woman the other day in the gym, and she was coming in just to check out memberships. And she said, yeah, I'm from New Jersey, but I just moved to the area. And I immediately followed up with, what exit? And the owner of the gym was mortified because she didn't know about this joke, but the lady started laughing hysterically.
Yeah, that's what we're known for.
So as a dealer, you felt the pain firsthand. And, you know, it's interesting. When we're in the business for a long time, we speak the language, we understand the culture, because we felt the pain, right?
Absolutely.
Firsthand.
I never realized, I think all dealers have their heads down every day trying to live through the day. So I know I missed a lot. That now that I'm out of the retail side of it, you get to think a little bit more and plan a little bit more and look at new ideas.
The funny thing about the outside world, when I got recruited to it, I was told, oh, you'll love it. It's Monday through Friday. You know, you have every holiday off. You'll love it so much more than working at a dealership. It's so many less hours. What a bunch of malarkey that turned out to be. It's actually way more hours because you've got all the travel, then you've got all the updates in the CRM, the follow-up, and then on the weekend you get the plan, all that stuff all over for the next week.
Amen.
So we had a couple of comments. Thomas Alicia says, congrats on the weight loss, Paul Meijer. Thank you very much, man. I feel really good about it. My wife's been bugging me for a long time to do it. But, you know, guys are, if you're Italian and you know the word gabados, guys are a little stubborn sometimes. We kind of have to get there on our own. Michael Dean Aufmuth, hello guys, happy Halloween. Happy Halloween to you as well. And Ron Usher, my favorite retired Master Tech says, hello all. And Thomas Alicia says, happy Halloween to everyone. All right, we've all gotten these calls. I'm going to play it for you. And let me know if anybody, well, I'm assuming we've all got them, but let me know if anyone else has heard this before. Let's see here. No, I had it here. You know what the rule of the day is? Don't close the app because you may lose the thing. But what I was going to play for you is the phone call that everybody gets. You know, this is just a follow-up call to follow up on the letters, plural, all 500 of them, that we've sent you because your warranty is expiring and we'd like to sell you a new warranty. Press 9 to opt out or press 1 to speak with an agent. Now, I'm guessing there's so many of these calls happening. A number of people have to act on them because if they didn't, they wouldn't keep sending out more and more and more. If it was a dud, that program would have ended a long time ago.
There's been 13 billion of them in the year 2020. So if even 1% of those go down the road towards a sale, that's why more and more companies are jumping in. And that's why you're getting more and more of the calls. And this is the thing that the dealers don't realize. They're getting their pocket picked every day. And if they don't do something to counter it, they're basically surrendering their customers to be picked off one by one.
And here's the problem. I know, because I'm involved with APC as well, disclaimer, that not all warranty companies are created equally. There are a lot of policies out there that are bad. I don't know any other way to put it. They don't cover anything. They make you jump through hoops. And guess whose problem it is when the customer shows up at the dealership thinking they have a warranty when that warranty is worth nothing.
I talk to service managers and service writers every day, and I have not come across one who has not been faced with that customer.
And then those are the ones that blow you up.
It becomes your CSI issue because they perceive that those calls are somehow connected to your dealership.
Yeah. So you have to ask yourself at the store level, who's doing the follow-up on the missed opportunities from sales, from service, on vehicle extended service contract sales, right? Before COVID, I think I saw a stat that said up to 70% of the customers walk out of the finance office because they have their blinders on, right? They're programmed to, after you spend all this time with the salesperson, you're going to go into this box, this dark office where they're going to try to sell you a bunch of stuff. Just say no. Right. Just say no. So before COVID, about 70% or up to 70% of customers bought no extended warranty. Yet, how easy is it, Jeff, at the store level? You were a dealer to chase after that stuff.
In theory, it should be easy, but it's not. And the part of it that we were probably the worst at is the service department customers. Right now, the average car that's on the road is 11.9 years old. People are keeping their cars longer. And the stats will show you that when a car gets to be 5 years old, only 29% of those customers are still coming back to the service department. So finding a way not only to market to the ones that are leaving F&I without buying a service contract, but all the ones coming through service that I never figured out properly how to filter and market to. It's a tremendous opportunity, which is why all these companies are jumping in and making phone calls.
Now, because people are holding their cars longer, there are more and more cars coming into the service drive that are out of warranty.
Correct.
A lot of times people didn't plan on having the car that long, but today they're almost forced into it. I remember back in the day, and you're probably old enough to remember this as well, that as soon as a car approached or even thought about approaching 50,000 miles on it, the car was gone.
Right.
They're already talking about a new one. But now you said like 11.9 or 12 years. That's a long time on the road. So most of those cars, a lot of cars today pull into service with 70,000 miles on them.
That's right. And more people are buying out their lease cars.
Yeah.
And they're not flying as much. I just saw on the news tonight that it's a crapshoot when you fly now. So if you're within 8 or 9 hours of getting to where you want to go without flying, you're using your car.
Let's see. Southwest, American, cancellations up the wazoo.
Right.
Leaving people stranded. So yeah, people are driving more. We got a couple of comments. My good friend and fellow KFC enthusiast, Christine Farnan, is on. She says, hi, Paul and Jeff. Thomas Alicia said, Jeff Liebler looking good, boss. And Christine Farnan says, APC is a great program. Christine, you're just saying that because it's true.
And,
Robert
and
Allen Carvel.
And she rides with it.
Yes, she does. Hello from Hotlanta. Let's go Braves. And Facebook user says almost at 200,000. It says Facebook user, so I don't know. Let me see if another platform here tells me who it is. Does not. Sometimes somebody will come across based on their privacy settings as Facebook user. So whoever Facebook user is, please let us know who you are. And Christine Farnan says, yes, it is. So yeah, so a lot of cars are coming through the service drive that can qualify for a warranty, but they don't have one. And there's a lot of manufacturers today that unless you're within warranty, you can't buy an extended warranty from them. For instance, on my Subaru Legacy, once you're out of warranty, you can't buy another warranty from Subaru. And APC has several different vendors.
We work with 20 different administrators, none of which have ever left us once they've started. We have 6 more that are in the queue that want to connect with us, and most of them will offer coverage over 100,000 miles, some up to 150,000 miles. We have one administrator that will do it unlimited. So yes, this is an opportunity that they typically may not have had at the store when they were sitting in finance.
So now, a vehicle service contract is one of the more profitable items in the store.
No
Right?
doubt.
And it's not just, you're not selling smoke and mirrors, you're selling something that'll help somebody. Because, you know, if you can call, I don't care what make it is, but you call the dealership and ask them if they have the car's computer in stock. And they'll say, yes, they do, or they can get it overnight. Why? Because those items go bad. And that's a repair that could cost you $1,000, $1,500, depending on year, make, and model of the car. Just like that. And
Absolutely.
Most of these warranties cover that, correct?
They do. They do. We try to stay with the top box coverage that each of our administrators offers. And just to throw this out there, we like to go through the agents that represent the independent and general agents that represent those administrators. We don't try to go around them. We want those agents to have this program in their toolbox to give to their dealers.
So the stat is, if somebody has a breakdown, a mechanical breakdown, and it's $400 or more, there's a lot of people in the population that can't come up with that kind of money. But if you had either a $50, $100, or even a vanishing deductible, it could cost you potentially zero.
You made a good guess there, because NADA stats showed $396 was the average warranty claim.
Yeah, that's what the dealer takes in, right?
That's correct. So what we're trying to show the dealer is that you want all of those repairs coming back to you. We want to put you in a position where we can keep your customers in a buy, service, and then buy again and trade in, all in their store. And if they have coverage, they will stay. One of the other stats that's out there is that 35% of your customers leave your service department as soon as their coverage ends. Yeah. They go to the independents that are open on Sunday and perceived to be cheaper. So if you can keep more of your customers in VSC coverage, it's going to feed your new and used car departments down the road also.
Yeah, you're making an investment in today and the future. We got a couple of comments. Robert Allen Carvel says, we are in the cycle from 1996 to 2008 where service was king. You know, the funny thing, Robert, is that service always has been king. Unfortunately, that king oftentimes wore a paper bag. You know, we didn't give the service department the respect that it was due. But if you don't have anything to sell, and that's another beauty of this product, it doesn't rely on inventory.
We are revenue that you can create right now without having to have a vehicle to sell.
And here's another beautiful thing about it. It's automated. It comes from the dealer through the program.
Yeah, so basically what we do is we get very limited access to some limited fields from a dealer's database, both from F&I and from all his repair orders. And we send out mail, email, and postcards that are branded to the dealer, his logo, his branding, his actual signature on the letters, in the hopes, and what usually will happen is 50% of them will walk back into the store, second chance for finance to sell them the vehicle service contract, or they can call our call center where we will sell it on the dealer's behalf. And then you have both sets of those customers now that purchase married back to their service department.
And the total cost to the dealer is?
Zero.
0.00. And so how does that happen? How do you get a value add product like that and there's no reaching into the pocket to get started?
Well, dealers will frequently ask me that. What's in it for you guys? Why do you do this? Well, we make our money from what's left in the call center after we have paid the administrator, paid the agent, and paid the dealer. We make a little something as to what's left. So we have to have tremendous volume to make it work. But we have over 4,000 dealers on the program and 7 of the top 10 national dealer groups. So the volume makes it work for us.
I mean, in short, it works. I mean, how many products do you have that's literally turnkey that you don't have to do anything? One of the biggest challenges in a store, or one of the weakest links in the chain, is human interaction, correct?
Correct. You need somebody that can explain a vehicle service contract. It's not something you're going to sell a lot of from drop-down menus on virtual F&I. Someone has to explain it and explain the options and why it's important.
Right. What's in it for the customer? Let me jump to a couple of comments. Brigham Charles Sears. Hi, Paul. Great show tonight. Hello, Jeff. Interesting information you're sharing on warranty. Like the insight. Brigham and I connected recently on LinkedIn, so thanks for tuning in, my friend. Robert Allen Carvel says it's a value to the customer, just like having medical insurance on yourself, but for your car. That's what I was talking about before. You know, if the average person cannot afford a $400 repair, and you have an item or a product that could potentially take care of all of it, I mean, you're the hero. You know, when you really look with service, it's all about sales in general. It's all about the relationship. And I'm a firm believer, and you've heard me say this a number of times, you can build, in my opinion, the strongest relationships in your service department. Because unlike sales, where you're seeing them every once in a while, in service, you see them on a regular basis and you get to know the families, right? When I ran service centers, I was 3 layers deep into families. The first time you meet, the husband comes in, and because he doesn't want the family to get screwed. He's the guy that's going to come in and take care of business, and you're not going to sell him something he doesn't need. Okay, so you've developed that relationship. Next thing you know, the wives come in to bring the car, because now there's a little bit of trust that's built up. And the husband feels, you know what, I don't need to go in there like the gorilla anymore. I feel safe sending my wife in to get the car taken care of. After a while, you don't see the wife anymore, and then you see the kids drop the cars off. And the crowning moment for me was when the zone rep came around and he saw, this was back in the day, I had clipboards all lined up with all of the cars that were in the shop, as well as the ones lined up outside to still come in. We did things by hand then, right? You guys are spoiled with computers. All right, remember the handwritten ROs? That's how we did them.
That relationship you're talking about, I try to coach agents that's the kind of relationship they want with the dealer. They want to be they should be seen as someone who's caring about the dealer's total profitability in every department, not just what he sells in F&I. So when you're selling him a program that's going to keep more of his customers coming to his service department, you're now that agent that's deeply involved in the store.
Yeah. And where I was going with my story was I had stapled to a repair order a blank signed check. Remember when we used to pay for things by check?
Yeah.
And the zone rep walked by and he says, "What's this?" I said, "What's what?" "These are cars waiting to come in." He says, No. "What's this?" He points to the check. I said, "Well, that's a car that's, outside waiting to come in, but it's signed and it's blank." "Well, yeah, I know that because we don't know what's wrong with the car yet. We haven't looked at it." When you earn that kind of trust, and that you can do that in the service department. I don't know if everybody's able to do that in sales, but you can do that in service because they're coming to you when they're feeling bad about something that went wrong with their car, and you're the guy or gal that can help them feel better by taking care of their problem. You kind of, take them by the hand and guide them through the process.
Well, the old story was a sales sells them, but service keeps them. And I don't think service people get enough credit for the repeat business that they cause because people are comfortable coming back to the store.
They really don't, man. They really don't. We got a comment from Steve Apicella. This is one of those overlooked yet very valuable topics that the dealer isn't really feeling the pain. They are simply not aware of or are currently not capturing the untapped revenue after the vehicle sale because so much energy is placed on the vehicle sale itself. The very essence that separates today's brick and mortar dealers from the emerging 100% online only retailers is the brick and mortar dealers' unique ability to also locally service their customers. There is an immense revenue stream. You know what? It cut off. It didn't show me the whole thing. So if there's more to it.
He's right on the money.
Oh, yeah. No, he's totally on the money. So, you make it easy for the customer. You explain it to them. You have their trust. It's automatic. The computer knows how many miles are on a car. It knows when the right time is to send out the communication.
Yeah, let me explain that a little bit. So I just got on one of my old manufacturer. I keep my emails open to see what the manufacturers are doing. And one of my old manufacturers just offered a fourth quarter mailer emailer campaign that they were going to do for the dealer. And it was $1.19 a piece for a piece of mail and 2 follow-up emails. So that just shows you the value of what we do for a dealer. But because we pay for everything, we're not doing this as a blanket. We're doing this at 4 or 5 strategic moments when that customer, either because of a mileage band or because of time, is most likely to buy. 20 years of history have enabled us to wire that down so that we're not blanketing the customers. We're only sending it out at the appropriate time when they're likely to buy.
And when you talk about $1.19 per, okay, how many customers are in the dealer's database?
Oh God, an average dealer is going to have 5,000 or 6,000 probably in there.
Okay, so now we're making an assumption that we're only going to send that customer one communication at $1.19. Is that correct?
Well, one mail and a couple of email follow-ups for a period of time. If you enroll in our program, it's turnkey ongoing.
Now, that $1.19, we're assuming per customer. Has there ever been any name file issues in a DMS system?
No, not at all. We are privacy.
No, not you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm saying not with you. What I'm saying is I'm being facetious. In the dealer's DMS, oftentimes there are name file issues. So you may have the
Yes.
same customer in the DMS three different
Multiple
ways
times.
or
Correct.
4 different ways.
Not to
You pay,
mention dealer swaps and wholesale deals. That filtering alone
right.
is worth money.
So forget the $1.19 because we just multiplied that because there's so many more that they're sending out that aren't really going to anybody, or they're duplicates going to the same person who may not even own the car anymore.
That's correct. The filtering is great value.
Robert Allen Carvel says, what's the name of the company?
Automotive Product Consultants, APC.
We're going to have links in the post as well. So I always tell people, we always remember what we forgot to ask when we had the opportunity to do so. So I'm a big proponent of putting the information in afterwards so that everybody can have access to it.
Sure. You could put my phone number in there for them.
Brigham Charles Sears says, please recap the product name. It is Automotive Product Consultants, the acronym APC. Robert Allen Carvel says, service sells the second, third, and fourth vehicles, and sometimes many more than that. Brigham Charles Sears says, well stated, Steve Apicella. Steve is a master in the space of the life cycle and the digital communications through his company. So yeah, when Steve puts out a comment or a response, it's not just something, it's something that's well thought out, followed up, and covers all of the angles. Michael Weldon, my friend on the West Coast, says great information. Yeah, this is really cool stuff. Now, because you keep somebody in warranty, there's a mileage tie back a lot of times on the warranty as well, correct?
Yes. Each administrator sets their guidelines, but many of them have the 50-mile tieback. So again, our efforts are to keep your customers as a dealer coming back to you.
Now, once somebody comes into the dealership and they go into the DMS system, they're now a potential customer. So even if they didn't buy the car from the dealer, they go into that, the dealer's database. So if I purchased a used car somewhere, whether it be from a private party, or I bought on my lease, or whatever the case may be, but I'm a first-time customer at one of your stores.
Mm-hmm.
As a first-time customer that has a vehicle that qualifies for a warranty, I'm now going to get marketed to.
Correct.
On your behalf.
That's your visiting owners. I think there's especially with all the consolidations that have taken place, I don't know the stats, but I got to believe that there are more visiting owners in a dealer service department than he even realizes. And the better his service people are, the more of them there are, and they keep coming. And typically they wouldn't make it to the front end of the business, but our letter will sometimes bring that customer to F&I and give them an opportunity that they would never have had before.
Right.
So as opposed to trying to show who a finance manager didn't sell a VSC to, we're going to give them extra at-bats from those service customers, which should help their penetrations and hopefully help their pay plan. Now,
if they bought the car, if let's say it's a car that's a little bit older, higher mileage, they may have gotten their 30-day, 3,000-mile warranty from the place they bought it from. Maybe it's a smaller place that didn't offer the type of plans that are available to some of the bigger stores. That person now receives a piece of mail from the dealer as far as they're concerned. The dealer that they just entrusted with their car, that they paid money to have checked out. The likelihood of them being receptive goes up exponentially because they just went to that store.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, this is something that is good for any dealer?
All franchise dealers it'll work for. What we require is that there is a DMS that we can connect to so that we can get valid service data, because as we're talking here, we see that that's some of the most valuable data. And they have to have a service drive. So we can deal with independents, but they have to be among the larger ones. They have to have a service drive. They have to have a major DMS that we can connect to. And we're looking for somewhere pre-COVID of 100 sales per month. Just because we're taking all the expense, there has to be enough data out there that we can get both the dealer and us some results.
And I mean, it's quite an undertaking because you're covering a lot of expenses.
Yes, we are. We have the cost of the mail. We have the cost of the email. We have the cost of our call center. We have the cost of the dealer download because we pay Reynolds or CDK, whatever that seating fee is.
Yeah.
And if there's an inspection that happens to be required, we will pay for and arrange that also. It is literally $0 out of pocket, just bringing the dealer money from lost opportunities.
Do many cars need an inspection?
No, it's a very seldom. I think out of our 20 administrators, there's maybe 2 or 3 that if the car's out of its original warranty, will request an inspection. But we make that simple. We'll either go to the customer's home or office, and if a dealer requests, we can have that inspection done right at the dealership.
Interesting. And then, so when somebody buys a policy, are there financing options, or how does that work?
Yes, if they call our call center, we have licensed representatives there. They have 2 Missouri state licenses, a property and casualty and an insurance license. They are fully aware and trained on all of our administrators. They have toll-free numbers so that if a wife calls in and says, I need to talk to my husband tonight, I'll call you back. They're going to have a dedicated number to go right back to that same agent and pick up the conversation. And that agent's going to offer 0% payment options for them for up to 36 months financing. So sometimes you'll have a customer who might have had a payment call in F&I where they couldn't go over a $250 payment. So finance had their hands tied and couldn't offer a VSC. This now becomes that customer's second chance to get one using our financing.
It's almost like it's an independent financing, so it doesn't fall into the same parameters as before. They couldn't do it. That's correct. But now they can. Steve Apicella says, how valuable is F&I revenue to dealers? Financial success. I'd say pretty high up on the list.
Highly.
Critically valuable. Should that critically valuable revenue be left to the time and funding constraints of the F&I menu presentation alone, which it currently is? Clearly not.
That's why at least 50% aren't buying at point of sale. Like you said earlier, they get worn out. They've been there long enough, and they said, I'll worry about this down the road. Yeah. And down the road typically doesn't happen. Unless a third party haunts them into buying a crappy one. And if it's the phone calls or I mentioned phone calls before, the robocalls. How many calls did you say? 13 billion just for vehicle service contracts. Just calls. And now emails. I block all these emails, or I mark them as spam that come in, but it's like sweeping the tide. I spend a certain amount of time every week in just adding senders to my spam list. And the problem is, these people that send me emails, they're the ones that you don't want. They're not from the dealership. There's some company that's looking to sell you something. They don't care whether or not it works as long as they get paid. And it's just non-stop. Are there stats on what percentage of people actually fall prey to stuff like that? No, the assumption is 1%. So if 1% of 13 billion calls are effective, that means that's 1.3 million people are buying. And if you understand, let's say $1,000 markup on those 1%, Now you see how huge an industry that's become.
Wow. And now with the people taking curbside delivery and just wanting to get out of there, or even home delivery.
Right.
You know,
That only points to there being more missed opportunities, not to mention staffing issues.
right. And even when they went into the store, if a human has to be involved, more often it's bringing that person to the business office, to the business manager, who's typically always busy, right? I rarely have I walked into a store where the F&I managers, plural, aren't all busy. And
That's
the
true.
last thing they want, if they're prepping for the next customer that's coming into the box, the last thing they want is to be interrupted on something that's not part of their scheduled day.
That brings up our training. So when a dealer enrolls with us, we get together with the agent about 2 weeks before the mail's going to go out, and we host a meeting in the store where we have brochures and we meet with everybody that's going to come in contact with a customer. I mean everybody: salesmen, nighttime receptionists, service cashiers. We want them all to know that this is their program. And included in that brochure is a 1-800 number. That 1-800 number can be used on that busy Saturday when that service receptionist who's checking a customer out, who came in for his oil change in the morning and wants to talk about a VSC, and she has no prayer of getting to the finance manager, can refer them to the 1-800 number so that opportunity isn't lost. And we also train them that if a customer does not want to be on any mailing list, they can call right in front of the customer and basically say to the customer, listen, we know you're being offered crap every day. We wanted to offer you something valuable that you can use here in our service department. If you're not interested, we'll call this number right now and take you off the list. You'll never receive another piece of mail. So the training of the staff in store, which we do, makes it so that it flows and everybody gets on board with it.
And that's critical. Okay, I'm going to relate a customer service experience that I just had. It was a horrible customer service experience. One of the heating elements in the kitchen needed to be replaced. I figured I'm fairly handy. I could probably do this. So I take it apart. I hit the breaker, check the voltage, make sure there's nothing going through the wires. I take it apart. I figure out what I need. Now I'm going to Home Depot to get the item. Oh, before I went, I looked up online to see if they had something that would be suitable for what I needed. And because I don't want to waste a lot of time. You know, I don't have enough time in my day as it is. I'm always frustrated that for some reason there's only 24 hours in a day, because I could certainly use an extra 10 in mine. And you're probably not too far off of that yourself.
Yeah, agreed.
So I go into the store and I'm looking. I said, where do you have the electric heaters? Point me, it's aisle 24, it's in the back. So 9, go to the end, shift over, and it's back there. Okay, so now I go and I'm looking through the racks for the heating element. Okay, now me looking for the heating element in the racks is really no different than your customer standing in front of you in the service department or in the showroom, wherever the case may be, with their salesperson, and asking questions about the vehicle extended warranty, that they got something in the mail over. So if everybody's on the same page, everybody's trained on it, then that's going to be a smooth conversation. The customer has a lot of confidence that they're doing business with the right place because, hey, I got this thing in the mail from your dealership, and the people that I'm speaking to ask about it actually knows about it. They know because they know that the customer received it and they know the information to give back to the customer. Unlike my experience, so now I'm going through the racks and I can't find what I'm looking for. So I go to the first person I see. Guys, can you help me? Do you know anything about electric heaters? Well, no. If your sentence starts with the word well, that tells me the answer is no. Do me a favor. Can you page somebody from this department for me? No problem. Figures out how to page on his little pocket phone. I'm waiting like a yutz. 10 minutes. Nothing. I go back to the guy. Listen, nobody showed up here. Can you please call again? Calls again. Now I'm waiting 5 more minutes. I said, that's it. I go storming up to the front. At the risk of being like a Karen, I ask for the manager. So, can I help you? No, you can't. The manager can help me. So the manager finally comes over. I explain my frustration. I said, I want you to help me. My mission was to come in here, find it, buy it, and leave with it. And that's what you're going to help me do. So the manager walks back and he finds somebody that's able to help me. And I'm able to buy the unit that I needed with their help. That took me a while to get. But with the training that APC offers the dealers, you can avoid that whole ugly situation. Because if everybody knows, you're going to get the help like that.
Well said.
Is there, you find much resistance at the store level to the people involved that they don't want to learn some of this basic stuff? I mean, what's been the general consensus?
No, the consensus has been very, very welcoming. As long as you arm them. See, when we start with a dealer, we go back 7 years in their sales history and 3 years in their service history. So there's a lot of data that we're working with in the beginning. So invariably, we will come up with a few folks who either bought from one of those robocalls, or perhaps the finance manager didn't put the VSC on the line that we filter where it's supposed to be. Maybe he put it on line 1 as a mistake. You're going to uncover a few people that are going to come in and say, why did you send me this letter? And the key is they need to know how to disarm them. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. And some of my best stores will have someone from the BDC take each of those people that walk in with the letter and qualify them. If they're coming from your service department and they have 70,000 miles on their vehicle, what's your first opportunity here? Sell them another vehicle.
Right.
You can't sell them another vehicle, then sell them a vehicle service contract.
Right.
It's good traffic either way. So it's very hard for them, as long as they're informed. And listen, when I would do a 10,000 piece mailer, let's say from the dealership, I always got a couple complaints. It's part of doing advertising in the car business. Right. I would have a customer call me up and says, I want this $279 payment that you're offering now. I bought my car 2 months ago. Okay. So you just have to understand that data is not perfect.
Right.
Marketing's not perfect, but this costs the dealer zero. It's all plus dollars and plus opportunities.
And the funny thing about that $279 payment that they're coming screaming about, guess what? Oftentimes that car doesn't even exist. By the time you explain, well, you know, that was the base model, you have the luxury model.
No, mine always existed.
I'm telling you about some of the other stuff I've seen. I've actually worked for places where, do we have such a car? Listen, don't worry about that. We have one. I know, but you know, we sell 250 cars a month. How can you only have one?
I'm going to tell you one of my favorite complaints like that I got. I had a dealer call me, said Mrs. Jones came in and she said, I still have 18 months left on my warranty. Why are you sending me a letter? So we have the ability, if the dealer will give us the ID number or the customer's VIN number, to really research what our logic was in sending it out. And when I did the research, it turned out that this was somebody who wasn't flying for their job anymore. They were driving. We watched 3 consecutive repair orders for oil changes and tire rotations, and that mileage was accelerating so quickly, we could tell from our filtering that they were going to run out of mileage long before that 18 months ran out. And the dealer just sat back and go, okay, I get it. You guys know what you're doing.
So there's no gap in coverage.
Correct.
Steve Apicella says, Paul's Sunday Night Live and DealerVendorMax.com are platforms to help make or strengthen industry connections. Jeff, if we can help elevate your connection, I'd love to engage. If you're not connected with, are you connected with Steve Apicella or no?
Can't say that I am. I don't recognize the name.
You will be today.
Okay, good.
Will be today. He's a great guy to know. Very knowledgeable in the space. Says, I'd love to engage. We're 2 companies illuminating and delivering the desired post-sales revenue opportunities. Our pathway is organic dealer customer digital engagement. If interested, DM me. If not, I sincerely appreciate your company's industry contribution. Competitors may be stronger together. Let's find out. It's always worthy of a conversation.
Always worth the conversation. I just will remind him that we are very respectful of the agents who have the vehicle service contract business in a store. Our ultimate goal is to have all of them say, hey, this is something I need to bring to my dealers that's going to add value to my agency. That's our ultimate goal in getting on board with dealers.
Between what you guys do and what Steve and his company do, I think such an arrangement is probably possible and highly probable. So it's definitely a worthwhile conversation. This is how I look at conversations. It's going to go one of two ways. You're either going to find out, yes, I have everything covered. There's nothing different that I need to do. Thank you for helping me realize that. Or, there's a couple of things in what we talked about that we're not doing or I'm not familiar with.
Right. And
maybe we need to talk about that a little bit more. So it's a win-win either way.
Be happy to talk to them.
The funny thing about LinkedIn and the connections that we make is that marketing, sales, all of this stuff, it's a long game, right? Nobody comes into our business other than if you're selling cars right now and expects the customer to just buy it instantly. And in car sales, they do that because if they don't, they're going to lose out. It's going to be gone for good. It reminds me back in the day at Saab when the $299 leases were flying out the door and people would call on the phone and say, what do you have? Well, we got a red one, a green one, and a blue one. That's what we have. Well, what about this other color? Well, I'm sorry, and I don't want to seem like a jerk, but the reality is by the end of the week, these are all going to be gone and it's Thursday. So if you want one, I suggest you put a deposit down on it because they're going to be gone. And people were buying stuff sight unseen over the phone because the car had a good reputation. It was in short supply. But most other items, it's not that kind of a sale. So it's a long game. Oftentimes, you'll make a connection with somebody who makes a connection with somebody else. And sometimes there's a third connection involved. And that relationship could take 2-3 years before it unfolds and develops into a very nice deal.
Hey, I connected with you a year ago, and it was like last week you finally called me.
You know what the problem is? The problem is the world moves so fast, right, that I connect with a lot of people, and we start talking, and then 40 other messages come in. And every once in a while, it gets bumped and lost. And then it isn't until somebody interacts with something or something happens that you say, oh yeah, that person, let me take a look. Yeah, you know what? It was about 11 months ago we were going to get together, and here we are. And then I get on the computer and I send out, hey, I know it's been a little bit of time, but if you're still interested in having a conversation.
Sales is a long game.
It's definitely a long game. Too many people think that it's instant gratification. It really isn't, but definitely, like I said, connect with Steve Apicella. Now, signage and things like that. What do you offer to the dealer to help support them when you're not in the store and keep the brand in front of people?
The only thing we do is those brochures once they've enrolled with us. Because we're doing it as the dealer's program, there's no signage of ours that belongs there. Everything we do is as the dealer. His logo, his brand. So it's covered by his standard privacy policies. So we want to be just the quiet people in the background that are generating him business.
So in essence, it's white label to them, so to speak.
Correct.
Oh, a lot of dealers participate in reinsurance programs.
So as far as reinsurance is concerned, it's always a case-by-case basis. Some of our administrators feed reinsurance. Some of our administrators would rather not. Depends on both a dealer's how they feel about the risk and
Yeah.
how the administrator feels about the risk. So what we do is we match up with each dealer. And if
Okay.
he has a reinsurance program and he does not want the call center sales that may be coming from service with higher mileage,
Yeah.
he doesn't want that in his reinsurance, we pick an administrator for him that'll cover that. If we have an administrator that he's carrying that also has reinsurance and feeds it,
Yeah.
then it can all flow to reinsurance. So it's very much an individual decision.
So it sounds like it's completely customizable, and you can segment the targeting based on certain parameters to go in one direction or another.
That's correct. We've developed some scenarios where we've used two administrators. Let's go up to 60,000 miles on our primary administrator for reinsurance. And if it's above that, use this other administrator. So we do have that ability.
And something that just jumps back into my head when you said some administrators offer no mileage or unlimited mileage.
That's correct. And listen, if people are going to keep their cars for 12 years, where's the mileage going to be? It's going to be high.
Yeah.
And there are administrators that want to be in that side of the game because let's face it, cars are built better now.
I see 200,000 mile vehicles.
Sure.
In the 20s for sale price. So if I'm buying a car with 200,000 miles on it and I'm paying 20 something large, God forbid something large goes.
Right.
And that's something that the customer really has no idea that that's even possible.
That's right. So is it a good time for me to throw my little quiz out, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime's a good time for a quiz.
So my quiz is, if you're sitting at the dealership, would you rather have one vehicle sale where you make $2,500 profit and you can't sell that customer a vehicle service contract? Or would you rather have two people walk in with our letter, buy a VSC, you made $1,250 on each of them, which adds up to the same $2,500 on that month's statement? Which would you rather have? Which has more value for you?
All right, let's get some answers from the audience. Should I do the da 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 da? Oh, come on, there has to be some takers out there. You know what? Sometimes people are concerned about putting the wrong answer out there, but I'm gonna take a leap of faith. I'll take the two VSCs all day long.
Right, because you've married those customers to your service department for their parts and service revenue and potential trade-in and buy again. The other guy that buys the car and goes,
gone.
That you on average, by the way, spent $633 in advertising, national statistics, to get him to buy that car, and you're paying the salesman probably a 20% commission, which is probably higher than what you pay your finance managers on the VSCs, and you never know if you'll see them again.
Right. And, I remember years ago seeing a slide from Brian Benstock where this guy's genius, right?
Yeah, he is.
He always has been so far ahead of so many people that it's not even funny. But I remember seeing a slide where they talked about the lifetime value of the customer.
Right.
Okay, that was an integral part of the conversation. Because when you look at it in those terms, to your point, the two VSCs, it's the same money as the one-time pop-in that's gone and probably gone for good. Customers spend a lot of money over time. And with the cars being a lot more sophisticated, a lot more computer equipment in them, that stuff gets expensive.
No doubt.
Greg Dudley says, 2 VSC, future business. All right, I knew somebody would step up to the plate here. He says, in a low inventory market, service comes first. You know what's funny is that, yes, that's true, but the other is true as well. Service should always come first. We have fixed operations. Fixed operations cover the costs, okay? In a lot of stores I walked into, you ask them, 60%, 65%, maybe 70%. And you walk into some stores, they're at 100%, 110%. They're rocking it.
Right. You're talking about service absorption.
Yeah, fixed absorption. That's the service thing, regardless of how good or how bad sales are, the service should always be on the forefront of the conversation.
That's correct.
You know, I have a video with Jim Press at an event that I was at where, you know, he's an interesting guy. He was an exec with Toyota and with Chrysler. And it's his firm belief that the dealership building is built all wrong. He believes that the service department should be in the front of the building and that the sales department should be in the back of the building. Because consistently before COVID, I mean, there's a percentage of stores that literally lost money in the front end. I can't tell you what the exact percentage is, but I know it was a strong percentage of stores that actually lost money in the front end. I've walked into stores where, you know, before going in, you do your quick research and you look at the inventory. You kind of see, are they syndicating consistently across all of the third-party platforms? Is the pricing in line? You know, you do a little homework, and you find out that there are cars that had sat on the lot celebrating a birthday. I told you I know of a dealer that recently changed hands. BC, before COVID, this particular store had 1, 2, 3, and 4-year-old birthday cars on their lot. And this was a name brand. Now, me personally, I wouldn't be able to go home and look my wife in the eye if I had something like that.
The first car I ever sold was a birthday car, and I didn't know what it was, and all the salesmen were laughing at me because they'd been walking around it forever. And that's when I learned. That was the first car I ever sold, was a birthday car.
And you probably got a big bonus on it. You know, birthday cars, they were spiffing for $500 to $1,000, depending on, you know, which car it was.
Yeah.
By the time you sell it and take a loss and pay the commissions and everything, you haven't made any money. You've lost money.
Big time.
So to circle back the wagons to the VSC, how much does it cost to get started?
0.
What's the monthly cost? What's the monthly cost?
0.
Do they have to figure out the train on their own?
Nope, we do it for them.
Do they have to lick any envelopes?
Nope, and we will present it for the agent to the dealer so that we can answer all their questions.
Is there anything I'm missing?
No, I think that we could put these robocalling businesses out of business if every dealer had their own follow-up program themselves, which they should. So call your agent, call your general agent and say, there's a free program out there that I can sell more VSCs with. I want it.
Yeah. And how long what's the general turnaround time?
If somebody reached out to me this week, we could have mail going into mailboxes before November's done. We could turn it around in a couple of weeks.
That's quick.
Just in time for their big December sales.
Listen, make it a December to remember on all fronts.
There you go.
Wow. Well, this has been extremely informative. I want to thank you for spending your Sunday night with us. This has been great.
Thanks for having me.
We're a little overdue on the time, but what are you going to do? You know, sometimes it takes longer than others to actually put something together. So I'm glad that we finally reconnected and we're able to put this show together and bring a lot of knowledge to the audience. So to everybody that's out there, if you see value in what you saw today, if you see or know of stores that would benefit from this, please, by all means, share this post because it lives on the internet forever. If I were to die tomorrow, this show will be on forever and ever and ever. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I appreciate your support every week. I wish you a successful and safe week coming up. Jeff, why don't you stay on for just a moment after we sign off here?
Sure. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, so thanks again. We'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live.